The classic quotes of the Nobel economist Milton Friedman: "If you pay people not to work and tax them when they do, don't be surprised if you get unemployment." The statement explores economic incentives and their impact on employment. When people are paid not to work, like with certain welfare programs, and taxed when they do work, it can create a disincentive to seek employment. Essentially, if the after-tax income is less than or closely matches unemployment benefits, some may choose not to work. This is relevant to discussions on welfare and taxation policies. However, it's overly simplistic, as it doesn't account for the myriad factors influencing employment choices, such as job satisfaction, career growth, or social benefits of work. Key insights include understanding how economic policies can shape behaviors, yet recognizing human motivation is complex and isn't solely dictated by financial incentives. Design welfare and taxation policies, considering both immediate economic needs and long-term impacts on work incentives. Balance is key, as is an understanding of the diverse factors influencing employment decisions. Deserves is an impossible thing to decide. No one deserves anything. Thank God we don't get what we deserve. The statement delves into the philosophical and ethical dimensions of deserving. It suggests that attributing merit or value to actions and determining what one deserves as a result is inherently subjective and often doesn't align with outcomes. The context could be life's unpredictability and the disparity between actions and consequences. It hints at the concept of grace or mercy, encapsulated in the phrase, "Thank God we don't get what we deserve." Recognizing the complexity of justice and merit, the role of subjectivity in determining deserts, and the dichotomy between human judgment and actual outcomes. Embrace life's unpredictability, strive for actions reflecting personal and societal values, and maintain humility, knowing outcomes often defy our sense of what's deserved. This perspective promotes humility, acceptance, and a nuanced understanding of the interplay between actions and consequences. There's no such thing as a free lunch. The adage, "There's no such thing as a free lunch," encapsulates a fundamental economic principle. Every choice involves a cost, often unseen or unacknowledged. This statement underscores the concept of opportunity cost, the idea that choosing one option means forgoing others. In an economic context, it reflects the reality that resources are limited, and acquiring anything usually requires a trade-off, be it money, time, or effort. This phrase extends beyond economics, illustrating broader life lessons. It suggests that every action has consequences, and apparent shortcuts or free offerings often have hidden costs, whether in relationships, business, or personal growth. It encourages critical examination of offers that seem too good to be true, reminding us to consider the underlying motives and possible trade-offs involved. Ultimately, this statement teaches the value of diligence and skepticism. It reminds us to look beyond the surface, understand the true cost of our decisions, and accept that effort and sacrifice are often necessary to achieve worthwhile goals. The government solution to a problem is usually as bad as the problem. This statement reflects a perspective that government interventions often fail to effectively solve problems and may even exacerbate them. It stems from skepticism about bureaucratic efficiency and the unintended consequences of public policy. The context could be any situation where a government has intervened to solve a problem, such as economic downturns, public health crises, or social inequality. It's a reminder that government solutions often involve trade-offs, can lead to unforeseen consequences, and are subject to implementation challenges. However, it's a generalization and doesn't account for the many instances where government intervention has been successful. Lessons here include the need for careful policy design, rigorous assessment of potential unintended consequences, and continuous monitoring and adjustment of policies. It emphasizes the complexity of public policy and the need for critical, informed debate about the role of government. Inflation is the one form of taxation that can be imposed without legislation. The statement, Inflation is the one form of taxation that can be imposed without legislation, delves into the nuanced relationship between economic policy and its impacts on society. Inflation, a rise in prices and a corresponding decrease in the purchasing power of money, acts as an indirect tax on consumers. Unlike traditional taxes legislated and imposed by governments, inflation materializes often as a byproduct of monetary and fiscal policies, such as excessive money printing or deficit spending. This insight points to the subtle yet powerful influence of central banks and economic policies on everyday life. Inflation reduces the value of money held by the public, akin to a tax but without the direct, transparent process of legislative approval. It highlights a crucial aspect of economic governance where significant effects on citizens' wealth and purchasing power can occur outside the direct democratic process. The lesson here is the importance of understanding and monitoring economic policy decisions, recognizing their potential to affect personal finances and the broader economy as effectively as conventional taxation, yet often with less public scrutiny or understanding. The only relevant test of the validity of a hypothesis is comparison of prediction with experience. The statement, "The only relevant test of the validity of a hypothesis is comparison of prediction with experience," underscores a fundamental principle of empirical verification in science and other disciplines. It posits that a hypothesis, regardless of its theoretical elegance or the authority behind it, must ultimately be tested against real-world observations and experiences. This approach is at the core of the scientific method, where predictions derived from a hypothesis are subjected to experiments or observational studies to see if they align with actual outcomes. This principle highlights the importance of empirical evidence over theoretical assumptions or beliefs. It emphasizes that true understanding and knowledge come from the ability to predict and then observe those predictions coming to fruition. This process not only validates the hypothesis, but also reinforces the robustness of the scientific method as a tool for discerning truth. The broader implication of this statement is the value of skepticism and the need for tangible evidence in forming beliefs and making decisions. It teaches us to rely not just on theories or assumptions, but on observable, measurable outcomes as the ultimate test of an idea's validity. One man's opportunism is another man's statesmanship. The aphorism highlights the subjective nature of political and moral judgment. It suggests that actions perceived as opportunistic or self-serving by some may be viewed as astute, strategic leadership, statesmanship by others. This dichotomy reflects the complexity of human motivations and the differing perspectives from which actions are judged. In politics and leadership, decisions and actions are often scrutinized through various lenses: ethical, practical, ideological, and strategic. What one individual or group sees as a shrewd move in navigating complex political landscapes, statesmanship, another might see as an exploitation of circumstances for personal or political gain, opportunism. This statement underscores the relativity of moral and ethical judgment in the realm of human affairs, particularly in politics. It serves as a reminder of the importance of context in evaluating actions and decisions. It also reflects on the inherent challenges in distinguishing between self-interest and the broader interest in leadership roles, emphasizing the subjective nature of such assessments. This highlights the importance of critical thinking and the need to consider multiple perspectives when evaluating political actions and intentions. The power to do good is also the power to do harm. The phrase, "the power to do good is also the power to do harm," encapsulates a fundamental ethical principle relevant across various domains, from politics and business to technology and personal relationships. It underscores the dual nature of power and responsibility. The same capabilities or authority that enable a person or entity to enact positive change can also be used to cause damage or injustice. In the political realm, this means that a government with the power to implement beneficial policies also possesses the capacity to oppress or exploit. In technology, innovations that can revolutionize lives for the better also hold potential for misuse, such as privacy violations or unethical applications. In personal relationships, the ability to influence or support others also comes with the risk of manipulation or harm. This concept underlines the importance of ethical considerations and checks and balances in any system of power. It serves as a reminder that with great power comes great responsibility, necessitating a constant awareness of the potential consequences of one's actions and the need for moral integrity and accountability in decision-making. The statement thus serves as a caution against the uncritical celebration of power or capability, advocating for a balanced and ethical approach to its application. Most economic fallacies derive from the tendency to assume that there is a fixed pie, that one party can gain only at the expense of another. The fixed pie fallacy neglects the principles of wealth creation, innovation, and market expansion which contribute to economic growth. This perspective oversimplifies economic transactions as zero-sum, ignoring the potential for mutual gain. It fails to account for the dynamism of markets, where new technologies and ideas can expand wealth beyond existing resources. Furthermore, it overlooks the amplifying power of investments and compound interest in wealth generation. However, the fallacy subtly underscores an important issue: wealth distribution. While the pie isn't fixed, the slices often are, highlighting the persistent global issue of economic inequality. The lesson here is that economics isn't a zero-sum game, but a dynamic field with potential for mutual benefit. Yet the growth doesn't guarantee equitable distribution, urging us to address inequality while celebrating and encouraging wealth creation and economic expansion. History suggests that capitalism is a necessary condition for political freedom. Clearly, it is not a sufficient condition. This statement acknowledges that while capitalism often correlates with political freedom, it's not a guarantee. Capitalism, a system where goods and services are produced by privately owned entities aiming for profit, can foster an environment conducive to political freedom. It does so by decentralizing power, encouraging competition, and promoting individual rights such as property rights. However, capitalism being a necessary condition is not universally agreed upon. Some societies have maintained political freedoms without full capitalism. Moreover, capitalism is not a sufficient condition for political freedom. Political freedom requires a robust legal framework that protects civil liberties, ensures rule of law, and allows for free and fair elections. Without these, a capitalist society might still be politically repressive or undemocratic. In essence, while capitalism can encourage political freedom, it's not the only ingredient. Other societal, political, and cultural factors play crucial roles in fostering a politically free society.